Ever wondered why the ancient Greeks, the people who gave us philosophy, democracy, and geometry, also had a god dedicated to getting tipsy? It sounds a bit like a frat party, but there's so much more to it. Let's uncork the story of Dionysus, the god of wine, and find out why he was one of the most popular deities in ancient Greece. So, who was this guy Dionysus? Imagine Thor, but instead of a hammer, he carries a grapevine, and instead of summoning lightning, he summons a really good time. He wasn't just the god of wine. He was the god of fertility, festivity, theater, and, most importantly, ecstasy. Not the modern kind, but the Greek concept of ecstasis, which means standing outside oneself. It was about losing your inhibitions, breaking free from the rigid rules of society, and experiencing a more primal, emotional state. Unlike the other gods chilling on Mount Olympus, Dionysus was a bit of an outsider. His mother was a mortal woman, Semele, and Zeus was his dad. Hera, Zeus's notoriously jealous wife, wasn't a fan of this arrangement. She tricked Semele into asking Zeus to reveal his true divine form, which instantly vaporized her. But Zeus, being resourceful, snatched the unborn Dionysus and stitched him into his own thigh to finish gestating. Yes, you heard that right. Dionysus was literally born from Zeus's thigh. This made him a god who walked between worlds, part divine, part mortal in origin, always an outsider, which made him incredibly relatable to the common person. He wasn't a stuffy, distant god. He was the god of the people. Now let's talk about the wine. For the ancient Greeks, wine wasn't just a drink you'd have with dinner. It was a gift from the gods, a powerful substance that could alter your state of mind. They almost always mixed it with water, by the way. Drinking it straight was considered barbaric. For them, wine had a dual nature. It could lead to joy, creativity, and a sense of community, but it could also lead to chaos, madness, and destruction if you overdid it. Sounds familiar, right? This duality was the very essence of Dionysus. He represented both the liberating joy and the dangerous potential of losing control. Worshipping him was a way to acknowledge and respect this powerful force of nature and human psychology. It was about finding a balance between order and chaos. So how did they worship him? Well, it was a party. The most famous festivals were the Dionysia, held in Athens. There was the rural Dionysia in winter, which was like a countrywide parade with lots of singing, dancing, and general merrymaking. And then there was the city Dionysia in spring, a massive, multi-day festival that was a huge deal. Think of it as a combination of carnival, the Oscars, and a religious pilgrimage all rolled into one. The city would shut down, prisoners were released on bail, and everyone, from citizens to slaves, took part in the celebrations. A central part of these festivals was the procession, where people would carry phallic symbols, sing raucous songs, and parade a statue of Dionysus into the city. It was loud, chaotic, and deeply spiritual. The highlight of the city Dionysia, though, was the theater competition. That's right, Greek tragedy and comedy were born out of the worship of Dionysus. Playwrights like Sophocles and Euripides would present their new plays, which explored the deepest questions of human existence, fate, justice, and the nature of the gods. The theater was a sacred space where the entire community could gather and experience a collective emotional release, or catharsis, through the stories unfolding on stage. This was a form of ecstasis, stepping outside their daily lives to confront these huge themes, all under the watchful eye of the god of transformation himself. But it wasn't all just plays and parades. Dionysus also had his more mysterious side. He was associated with mystery cults, secret rites where initiates would seek a more direct, personal connection with the god. The most famous of these followers were the Maenads, his all-female entourage. In mythology, these women would retreat to the mountains, and in a state of ecstatic frenzy, they would dance, hunt, and were said to possess superhuman strength. These stories might be exaggerated, but they point to a deeper spiritual practice, one that sought to break down the barriers between the human and the divine, the civilized and the wild. It was about tapping into a raw, untamed part of the soul that everyday life suppressed. So, why did the Greeks worship a god of wine? Because Dionysus was so much more than that. He was the god of breaking free. He represented the idea that you need chaos to appreciate order, that you need to let go to truly find yourself, and that within every person, there's a wild, creative, and spiritual force waiting to be released. His worship gave people a sanctioned outlet for emotions that society often tried to control. It was a recognition that life isn't all logic and reason, like Apollo might represent. It's also passion, emotion, and sometimes a little bit of madness. It's about the whole, messy, beautiful human experience. By raising a glass to Dionysus, the ancient Greeks were celebrating life itself in all its intoxicating complexity. Thanks for journeying back to ancient Greece with me today. If you enjoyed this dive into mythology, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from the ancient world. Let me know in the comments which god or goddess you'd like to learn about next. See you in the next video.